All righty then. Welcome, welcome, welcome everybody to Hot Mess Millionaire Show. I'm your host, Dr. Venus. And today we are discussing lynchings are for you. They're not for the people who die. This is a full lesson. This is straight up it's a straight up PhD. Okay. And so I'm going to encourage you to do a couple of things so we can flow together and you can learn. All right. This is really designed to help you really contend with the psychological warfare of a movement. Okay. And so part of what we have to contend with is the visuals, the positioning, the rhetoric, the performative act of bodies being on display as spectacle, right? And so we're going to go in, but before I start teaching, I want to get certain pieces in. First things first. Please subscribe to Hot Mess Millionaire podcast so you can re-listen to this without any distraction. Um, I would recommend you download because I keep all my stuff tight to me. I'm going to also encourage you, for those of you who are with me live, please share. Please tag people, post this on your feed. I have turned all my platforms into broadcast stations. Okay. So I'm not promoting any of my material right now. All right. I'm using every resource I have in service of Black Lives Matter and us stop getting dead, in service of really really taking down white supremacy, and we're close. We're closer than you think, and I'll break that down in a moment. But I want to get these, public service announcements out the way first. The next thing I want to recommend is you have a pen and pad near you. All right, and if you look at the notes, if you look at all the writing, the Dr. Reese is in the house, okay? Stanford PhD, identity theorist, is on steroids right now, all right? And so what I've done is I've broken things up into actions you can take, specifically if you're a person who is a felon or has a felony or know someone who does, specifically Black men. There's a link that I'm including for you to read up on it and learn how in your state you can address that so that you can vote, or someone you know and love can vote. That's a big deal. Okay. And the main thing I have up first is register to vote online. We can win this. Each time Trump shows his blah, 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 hallelujah, and white supremacists do their blah, 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 but they lose votes. Okay. They lose votes. All right. And that's a good thing. It sucks how it happens, but this is how we're winning. And we'll walk it through slow in a moment. But I want you to go and look. I purposely curated a ton of resources, some current, some historical. I've even included some movies. Okay, because different people have different learning styles. Not everybody wants to read. Some people do better with visual. Some people do better with listening. Some people do better with visual. So the teacher in me couldn't help myself. So we have multiple learning styles on all platforms to support you, to serve you, to keep you strong, to keep you in the game and staying woke and staying well. Okay. So that I want to make sure I put that in. So with that being said, do I need to say anything else about me? For people who are new to me, I'm Dr. Venus, Hot Mess Millionaire. Hot mess is I used to live on the streets, eat out of trash cans, sleep in urine and beer. Another story, another time. But it was my ninth grade math teacher, a Black woman, holla and preach, who literally saved my life. Because of her tangible love and support, I eventually graduated from Stanford University with a second master's degree and a PhD. I have 4 degrees. They're all fine art degrees. My last 2 are from Stanford. My PhD is in philosophy. I am an identity theorist. That is the intersectionality of race, gender, sexuality, and class. So my dissertation was on initiating acts, the role of rupture in the formation of North American cultural identities. So this is my area of study. Okay. And so what I've done is I took my research and brought it to market to the tune of 5 million in less than 6 years. Okay. So that's the millionaire part. Why that's important here is this. I'm choosing to teach because I know knowledge is power. Okay. And if you don't know what's going on, it will eat you alive. So we'll get to money at some other time, but this right now, we're out to save lives. And that's what I've chosen to do with my platforms. Okay. So again, please share, please tag, please download, please subscribe so I can keep feeding you as we move through this historical moment that we are winning, no matter how it looks. Okay. So I think I got all that in. Okay. So let's just get into the teaching. Help me, God. Oh, you should know I curse, cry, and pray sometimes in the same breath, and I can't guarantee what language one slip into. Sometimes I sound like a professor. Sometimes I sound like a street urchin. Sometimes I sound like I just came from the black church. Can't guarantee what you're going to get, but I promise you, we'll always be honest and we'll always be authentic. Okay. So let's go back a couple of generations. Okay. Let's go back to the early 1900s. Let's go back to after the Civil War. Let's go back to Reconstruction. Let's go back to the 1900s. Okay. Right after the Civil War, white people lost their minds and started killing black people and lynching because they were losing money. They were mad and they felt like they were mad. They were taking out exacting justice. Now, this is reason why this is important right now is because I want to talk to you specifically about the function of lynchings. And I have listed a number of sources. You don't have to take my word for it. You can read it for yourself. Don't listen to me. Read. That is the whole point. You don't need to trust me. Read. This is why I take the time to curate this so you can draw your own conclusions. Okay. But the thing that you need to understand about lynchings were public, they were like the circus. Do you understand? Lynchings was like white people would come out with their kids, get their picnic baskets, come out in hundreds, en masse to come watch a lynching. Now, a lynching wasn't just a lynching in the early 1900s, from the early 1900s to literally up to 1950, in terms of it being a public spectacle. All right. During that time, white people would bring their families to the lynching as if it was a show, like a circus act or a carnival or just a concert, right? And they would watch as black men, black women, black children, it just depend on the trumped up charge, would be tied up, sometimes upside down, gasoline, now this is going to get a little graphic, gasoline poured onto their bodies, fire put on their bodies. If a woman was pregnant, they would cut the baby out of her belly and stomp it while her mother was burning. And the white people watching would cheer. And they would have their children, they would get their children to stand on the shoulders and get a better view of it. And they would go and get different pieces of the body parts as souvenirs, knuckles, a foot, piece of a heart. This is what was normal. I want y'all to hear this. And the reason why I want you to understand this is because if we don't understand the historical context, we won't understand the significance of what's happening in 2020. Okay. So you have this spectacle, you have this performative act of showing black bodies being burnt, being hung, being torn limb for limb. Now, here's where it gets really, really, really thick. All right. White people during that time period would purposely make sure, hear me when I tell you this, make sure that their newly freed slaves could see the lynchings. They would it wasn't, so you have the white people doing white people shit. Okay, rah, rah, woohoo, look at the black people burn. That's white people shit. But the more salient point is making sure the black people saw it. Do you understand? Making sure the black people saw it. And the reason they wanted to show the newly freed black people the lynchings is to make them afraid for asking for more, for demanding justice, for speaking up, for talking back, for even trying to leave. Do you understand how far that goes? It's not just enough to rob black people of our money, of our ability to make money, to take care of ourselves. Now you want to terrorize us to keep us from asking for what's rightfully ours, to keep us quiet and not complain, and to keep us in our place to keep your white supremacy in existence. So when we go, so now here's fast forward 2020, right? Within last 10 days, I can't even get I don't know, the last count I had was 6, 7 including a Spanish speaking man, okay, and one was a little girl, one was a woman, the rest were Black men, and they've been ruled as suicides. And if you read the articles, you'll see that they say, well, they didn't see any foul play, but they didn't look for it. So they're saying, oh, because of COVID, people are depressed. Black people don't hang ourselves. They said the same thing with Sandra Bland. They said she got hung in her jail cell because she was sad. It's a suicide. That's more of it. That's more white supremacy saying we can say whatever we want to you and you should buy it. That's how this works. Okay. And each time we speak up and talk back, they escalate. But I want you to understand how this works. See, the only reason they escalate is because their power is being challenged. And when someone's power is being challenged, the only thing they could think of is escalating, which only lets us know that they're threatened and they're scared and they're losing. It always gets worse before it gets better. I'm not saying that's pleasant. I'm saying no struggle, no progress, baby. This is what it looks like. This is what this is what a movement, a revolution, an insurrection, whatever you want to call it, looks like. It's not supposed to be polite. It's going to be bloody. Okay. Now, what I want you to be aware of is the lynchings, including even if I fall back from the lynchings and I just go right into the noose that was at NASCAR, that was in was it Buddy or Bubba's his in his section where he gets his, when he does his, NASCAR has a Black driver, okay, and there was a noose put in his station to scare him, to intimidate him, to make him feel not safe in his career. You understand? And I thank God for LeBron James to speak up, say, dude, we got you. And even the owner said, he's driving my car, I got you. And then the mayor, I think it was Alabama, the governor of Alabama said, oh, we're not doing this, not on my watch. And I thank her for that. But I want you, and then there also were nooses hung up in a park in Oakland. So there, and then someone said, oh, they were for exercise, but that's why I want y'all to hear how arrogant white supremacy is. We are so fucking stupid. Oh, I was just using these nooses for working out. Really? Then why are they a noose? Do you see what I'm saying? I want you to hear the level of, help me God, blatant arrogance is too soft a term. I'm trying to figure out something I could say that is like, I can't think of anything better than arrogance right now, but it's so white to do that it's insulting. Okay. And so what you want to start noticing is how these tropes from the past are showing up today. And they're showing up in ways that are designed to make you afraid. See, they don't have the public spectacles like they did in the 1920s. You see what I'm saying? Or 1930s, where they can have almost like a fair, bring food, bring a picnic table, bring out a little red and white checkered blanket and sit on the grass and smell flesh cooking. They can't do that anymore. So what they're doing is they're taking the different pieces of it with the nooses and now saying that is suicide to evoke terror, except that we're not scared like that no more. Do you see what I'm saying? I want you to know, I saw this movie like last night. It's called Harriet. I put some movies down there so you can check it out. Harriet gave me so much power because she refused to be intimidated. And there's a certain level of disdainful authenticity or audacity to not be intimidated. Our people have historically, we've gone through enough. You're not going to scare me with a cross. You're not going to scare me with a noose, and you're not going to scare me by trying to kill us and acting like it's suicide. I know some Black people. Suicide is real, but not by a noose. I don't know any black people, and I want to be wrong, y'all. I have yet to meet a black person, a black man who hangs himself. I can see pills. I can see cutting. I can see shooting. I can see stabbing. I cannot see a noose in a tree. And I'm willing to be wrong, but I don't believe I am. It doesn't fit our behavior pattern. Okay. So what I'm going to encourage you to do as we move through this space, okay, are a couple of things for your own mental well-being. Know this. Please feel me to your core on this particular piece. Each time white supremacy shows its ass, it is demonstrating how weak it is, how fragile it is, how it has no wherewithal. The only option, because it has no power, it uses force. And the more force it uses, check this out, and don't forget this. Every time they do some stuff like this, they lose votes. That was preach, God. I don't know if they caught that. They lose votes. Each time they go lynch or use a rope or beat somebody or break the cameras out, so they like with the security guard who was Spanish. Do you see what I'm saying? They're going to knock they're going to knock out the video so people can't see, as if we're stupid. We're not our grandma. We are not our ancestors' generation. Do you understand? It's just we're not going to back down and cower down. We will let it. Jesus help me. So we won't be intimidated. Okay, we won't be intimidated. This is just not who we are. We have too many people who have bled for us to be intimidated. We're not going to back down. We're not going to shut up and be quiet or just dribble. We're not doing that. You clearly haven't upgraded your conversation, your relationship to us since the 1920s. And the best you got is a fucking noose. That's what you got? Really? Okay. All right. Well, we got to vote. How about that? We have educated people. How about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're in a different position than we were in the 1900s, y'all. We really are. We're not in the same position. And they're acting like we are. Now, granted, I'm not talking about equality in this conversation. I'm talking about us not being intimidated by threatening to take our lives by lynching us. Look. White supremacy is so part of the fabric of what it means to be American. It's invisible to people. I had a white man, God bless his heart, take my photos from my site without my permission and created a post about them without my consent, under the auspices of amplifying my voice without my consent. That's why I'm like, who would do some shit like that? White male, thinking he has a right because he thinks it's a good idea. Do you know how crazy that is? No, it's white supremacy. Oh, I'm trying to help, but you didn't get my consent. It's my body. You can't tell. You can't. It's so. But this is, and I promise you, if you look in your own life, you'll see white supremacy all over the place. You'll see how they have to speak up at meetings first, or they cut you off, or they make you stand in line. And then, so my point is, it's all over us. And because we're now speaking up and questioning it, it's going crazy. But the more sloppy they get, the more votes they lose. And I'm gonna tell you why. Okay. See, this is the thing you need to understand. White supremacy is a function of white privilege and whiteness. It is not our fight. The reason why this movement is different from any other one is because of the activity level of white people saying no. Now, we had this similar kind of exchange or battle of values in the Civil War. All right. We had it between state and federal. But fundamentally, it comes down to there's a group of white people who believed in slavery and the economic viability for that group. And there were people in another group that said, no, people shouldn't be enslaved, and that's morally wrong. So that was the basis of the biggest, the fight, the clashing of values. All right. If you look at what's happening in this particular historical moment, we have a lot of people who are not Black, primarily white, who are speaking up, talking back, standing, changing things, really doing something that hasn't been done before, which gives us all some hope, okay? But this is the rub, and walk this one real slow with me, okay? Each time white supremacy shows out, it makes white people choose a side. It's either I'm like that or I'm nothing like that. Does that make sense? It forces, like, if they're in alignment with the behavior, then they're white supremacist. Okay. And if they don't see themselves that way, that means they're not going to follow that rule. They're going to go in the other direction, which means the people who are in that camp, who's all in 45's camp, they lose votes. They lose votes. They lose votes. They lose votes. Each time they do this, each time they show how ignorant they are and how extreme they are, they lose votes. Every time, y'all. Check the polls. Start noticing that. I'm telling you, you'll see. You don't have to take my word for it. Look at the polls. What's in favor? Look, Joe Biden, who he's kicking Trump 6 ways to Sunday in the ass. Okay, because each time Trump does whatever he does that used to work, he can't drag Joe like he dragged Hillary. Do you see what I'm saying? He can't do the same. It doesn't have the same punch. It doesn't have the, because we've had too much history of him being so non-humane that people who are humane, people who are saying, I'm not like that, they're just not going to vote again. They're not going to vote for him because they're going to say, I'm not like him. I'm not that white person. I'm not that white guy. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the more they show out, the more votes they lose. So I want you to be clear. Don't be discouraged as they show out some more. They're going to show out because that's all they got. They have no power. This is, people only resort to force when they have no power. Okay? So don't lose heart. And it's hurtful. It's hard to see. So the second thing is know that we're actually on the upswing, even though it looks like it looks awful. The second thing is don't look at the images. I'm telling you, protect your brain. Needs you to not keep reopening a historical wound. I have an article in here about how each time we see the body being beat, it just reopens all the times we've been beaten. Do you see what I'm saying? Don't look at the images. You can read an article, you can get a synopsis. Don't look at the images because it'll burn it in your brain. You won't be able to forget the images. Does it make sense? So as a form of self-care, don't look at them. You don't have to keep looking at George Floyd's murder. Stop it. I've never seen the full tape because I don't have the Constitution for it. I have dreams at night after I see stuff. So I can't even look at it. So in terms of your well-being, don't look at the images. Don't look at them. And I can't say that enough. That's called self-love. Do not look at the images. Don't circulate them. Don't forward them. Don't do that. It's designed to get in your head. It's designed to have you live inside of the historical and cultural trauma of being beaten and being hurt. Don't do that. You don't have to do that. Okay? You can get your information through comedians. You can get, you know what I'm saying? You can get your information through reading. Does that make sense? But you don't have to hurt yourself and help them make you afraid. Is that clear? My prayer is that it's clear as crystal. Otherwise, you are aiding them and handicapping you. No, not on my watch. We're not doing that. You do not get to look at the images. Okay? My prayers, I hope I made that plain as day. All right? Okay, and the third thing in terms of your spirituality is we're going to go backwards, baby. Go back and pray. Get your prayer on. Now, I'm a praying chick. I talk much smack, but I'm a praying chick. I do those praying without ceasing thing. But I want you to pray a particular way, okay? And this is what I've learned is something's an offering. You don't have to take it up. I pray in the affirmative, okay? I pray in that is already done in the mind of God. Okay, so I pray in the affirmative. All right, like, God, thank you very much for the victory. I'm excited about blah blah blah. Thank you so much for bringing down these laws. Thank you for empowering our march. Thank you for getting people on board and open their eyes and their heart. I'm praying in an affirmative. Does it make sense? So I'm going to encourage you for your own well-being. And this is a private thing. You know, you pray in the affirmative. You pray as if it's already done. Our ancestors prayed us through. They prayed for freedom before they were free. They prayed, okay, my great-grandchildren will never, ever have to pick cotton. They prayed for that. They gave thanks for that. They were not playing with us. So there's something to be said about pitching your word forward, pitching your prayer forward, pitching it to the positive. Do you understand? That's what our people do. You're accessing God with your prayer. Now, I'm not saying, here's the thing, prayer without faith without works is dead. So yes, we're marching. Yes, we're protesting. Yes, we're pushing the word out. Yes, we're doing all of that as well we should. And there's a spiritual component. Let's not forget spirit is our biggest ally. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to invite you to pray in the positive. Pray future tense as if it's already done. You get enough of that happening, things move quicker, faster, easier. Okay, because now you're aligning with universal spirit. You're aligning with, okay, I'm not going to dwell on the hurt. I'm putting my attention on the help. That is a real word. That is a real word on every possible level. Okay. And it doesn't mean you ignore the obvious. Look, I'm very read up, but I'm also very prayed up. Okay. So spiritually, I need you to do your prayers, but praying in the positive is another way of actually being revolutionary. Do you see what I'm saying? It's you taking care of yourself spiritually, feeding you spiritually, having your energy be a match for what's possible, not for what's predictable or the past. It may feel woo-woo, but every person I've ever met in my life who understands how God works, it happens through the prayer. Okay. So, whatever's that's my thing, do your thing. But I'm saying spiritually, you got to get yourself prayed up in the positive so that you can let the stuff that happens, let it move through you. It's going to impact you, but it can move through you quickly if you let yourself let the spirit move you. Does that make sense? Okay. And I think the only other piece I want to put in terms of your well-being, specifically concerning lynchings. Tell me, God, how to say this. It is always painful to bear witness to somebody you love that looks like you being treated unfairly, being lied on, being defamed, being blamed. It's painful. It'll be a lie to say it's not, but it truly is a painful process. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do is and you have to figure out what's going to work with you, but I'm going to share this with you because it may make you feel better. Okay. When I think about the people who have died so I can have a microphone, the people who sat out and marched so I could go to school, the number of people who didn't make it through, and I'm the only person in my community who ever got out. And if I just think historically about all the enslaved men and women who were treated so roughly, and all of our people who died during the mental passage, and even all our people who were captured or taken or sold, even by Africans, we know that's fine. That chattel slavery is not African slavery, so don't mix them up. Not the same thing. And I respect both sides. When I just take the moment to reflect on how many people had to die, sacrifice, give up something for me to have a voice. It gives me a reason to fight. Because I'm not going to let that be for nothing. I'm not going to let it be for nothing. I'm not willing. I'm not. And I don't care what it takes. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care. You see what I'm saying? Because I think that think about it the other way. Let's say Black people had just laid down and died, or just got selfish and I wouldn't be here. Do you understand? Like, there's no way. And you know how much shit I talk? Do you understand? Like, there's no way. So to me, each time somebody transitions, that just feeds me more power, because I know why they're doing it. And God picks who God picks for whatever God picks whoever for. But I'm clear that I am nothing without them. And I wouldn't want it any other way. Do you understand? So yes, they beat, they kill, they lynch, they burnt, they've tarred, they feathered, but we're still fucking here. And we do not give up, and we do not give in. And there will be some losses. But in the end, victory is ours. Thus said the Lord. So I don't doubt us. I just don't. I have too much history to prove to me that we are bigger than our bruises and that we are not giving up our right to be free in the country we built. And even if we didn't build it, even if we were wrong, we still have a right to be alive. Even if, let's say, worst case scenario, let's just say, okay, someone was drunk, somebody was an alcoholic, somebody was a drug. I don't care. That doesn't mean you can take their life. That doesn't equal take their life. It doesn't equal that. And I'm not doing it. So I don't care about fair. I'm not trying to be fair no more. I fuck fair. I'm not doing fair. I'm doing alive. That's what I'm doing. And y'all can play with fair if you need to, but fair ain't got nothing for me. What I'm concerned for and what I've chosen to put my attention on until God says otherwise is Black Lives Matter, because they do. And without us, this world would fall apart. So when you stand inside of your power, when you understand who the fuck you are, when you really embrace what you've been endowed with naturally, you don't walk in fear, you walk in authority. You walk in the authority of your ancestors and everybody who's ever taken care of us to make sure we win. Do you understand? That's what I'm trying to have you hear. So don't be afraid. Don't be intimidated. We are not our bodies. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. You see what I'm saying? We're not our bodies. Our ancestors knew they weren't our bodies. When their bodies ripped and torn apart, they knew that's not who they were. They're their spirits. We are connected spiritually to the ancestors and to the angels. So you have to really get yourself emotionally oriented around, oh, this body ain't me. This body is not, this is not who I am. Who I am is God wrapped in flesh. Who I am is the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last. That's what you got to get yourself oriented around so that when they start talking smack, you just laugh because God is our avenger. I'm not tripping off it no more. I'm just not. And if you need some inspiration, go look at Dr. King's I've Been to the Mountaintop speech before he got shot. That one right there with the shit, it will shut it all down. Okay, because he understood what he was doing and he knew it wasn't about his life. He knew it was for something greater. It was for you. He died for you. He knew you were coming. And I don't know if you even know, I don't ever understand. I don't know if you understand how precious you are. Because if you understood that, oh, everybody who has died, sacrificed, given up something, gone through all kinds of shit for you, you would walk with a different power. Because it was for you. It really was. And if you don't hold it like that, you won't understand how powerful your vote is. When you vote, you're voting for all the people who died. You're voting for all the people who couldn't vote, who couldn't even read to vote. And then they start doing the jerry-rigging thing and all that. So you matter in this. Don't get fooled. Make sure you register to vote. Make sure if you know some fellas or some sisters who've gone to jail, make sure that they can, if they can vote in the state, make sure they do. That you got to watch out for them. If you don't watch out for them, they'll feel, that their voice matters. And without you, we don't win. Okay? Okay, I'm falling back. Deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. One more time. Deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Okay, I'm falling back. God, I'm falling back. Okay, that's all I got for now. I want to keep this as short as I can. If you were fed by this word, this life-giving word, this life-loving word, please share it. People need to be inspired. They need to know they're not alone in this. And I can't get this out without you, and I wouldn't want to. Okay, so please, if you were fed by this, please share it. And if you have to say, hey, she got a potty mouth on her, I don't think I cursed too bad today. All right, but it's not. Don't worry about the delivery. Forget the messenger, deal with the message, and make sure the people in your life have this knowledge, have these resources. If nothing else, share for the resources, just the links. It took me hours to get those links together so you don't have to spend hours looking for stuff. Okay. So please share, please invite, please let people have the option to know how to get something done, to move, to be inspired, to get information so they're not running around scared, living at the effect of white supremacy. Okay. I love you, sis. I love you, bro. And also for all of my white followers, all of my allies, know that you're loved. And I have a very special link in here for you. There is this thing called the true. Oh my God. There's this one thing I found that blew my mind. It's a movie. It's called The Uncomfortable Truth. And it's for white people. I put it in there. Okay. So please look at that. It will blow your brain apart. All right. And it's good stuff. All right. That's all for now. Know that you love beyond measure, my sweet sister in success, and the brothers that love us. And please remember this: you are worth so much more than you have ever been taught to believe. I love you. Please share this episode, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye for now.